Pizza Hut. Hey, comrades. Hee, Pizza Hut. Ha, Gorby, Hakeem meme. Shut the fuck up. What is this? Fucking Hakeem's chat? Shut the fuck up. Fucking cringing the fuck out of me. Hee, Pizza Hut. Shut the fuck up, man. The fuck is this, Hakeem? I'm gonna go off on this shit because the reactions to Gorbachev's death, pathetic. Fucking pathetic. I'm gonna explain exactly why. But I don't want to fucking see this dumb...
07.
Thank you, Mekada. I don't want to see this fucking dumb band kid humor in my fucking chat. Just virtue signaling to your fellow comrades. Oh, we hate Gorbachev. We hate Gorbachev. We haven't even gotten to the bottom of how Gorbachev even came into existence. And we're pretty much the legacy of Gorbachev's revisionism. But comrades, we hate Gorbachev because he destroyed the Soviet Union. We like the Soviet Union. We're not even going to investigate why Gorbachev even came into existence, even though we're symptoms of that same thing that made Gorbachev... Shut the fuck up. You're fucking cringe, okay? I'm not celebrating this shit because he didn't die. First thing I want to tell you guys is that Mikhail Gorbachev is not dead. So I don't know why the fuck people are celebrating like he's dead. Yeah, we got him. No, you didn't get shit. The international left is still dominated by the fucking people that corresponded to his managed dissolution of the Soviet Union. If you're a revisionist, why are you bitching about Gorbachev? You're just a fucking hypocrite. Like, imagine being a fucking Hakeem viewer and then celebrating Gorbachev's death. You are Gorbachev. What are you fucking celebrating? That's literally what you are, you dumb fuck. We're gonna talk about this, but I've seen all these people on Twitter celebrating Gorbachev's death. Yeah, fine. But you are Gorbachev. It's literally you. You are Gorbachev. You realize that Gorbachev chose the path he did because the alternative would have been something that he and you would have considered fascism. Because they thought Maoism was fascism. They thought China was fascist. Everything's fascist, right? So Gorbachev had two options. Make the Soviet Union more progressive and make it more democratic and progressive, or have a fascist revolution according to the views of the international left, because again, the Soviet revisionists called every revolutionary impulse that was outside of their fucking bureaucratic bullshit revisionist international network fascist. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. If you are an American leftist and you're celebrating Gorbachev's death, you have zero self-awareness. You are Gorbachev. That is what you are. Okay? We don't have anything to celebrate. Our enemies are still in power. Gorbachev is still what defines the meaning of the word communism, not just in America, but in the entire Western world, and in a way more countries than you would think, actually. Way more countries than you would think are defined by Gorbachev's legacy. Even third world communist parties are shitty. Like, what is that? What's the Communist Party in India that's just a shit-lib party? It's Gorbachev. He's still in power. I have no fucking idea why people are celebrating. I have no idea at all. He's not dead. He's not dead. Also, why did the Soviet Union collapse? Does anyone know? Is it because of Gorbachev? Or maybe it's because the Soviet Union had to collapse. Maybe it's because the prevailing orthodoxy of Marxism-Leninism that prevailed in the Soviet Union was fucking bankrupt. You guys are not ready for this conversation. I don't really think you are. I don't really think you're ready for the conversation about how So Mao said that Stalin was 70% right and 30% wrong. That 30% is what made Gorbachev possible. That 30% is the reason why Gorbachev eventually came into power. No one's ready for that conversation, though. No one's ready for the conversation of there's no one you can really blame for the collapse of the Soviet Union. There's no one figure you can blame. The only thing you can blame is Western social democracy and its disgusting, despicable legacy. Because the 30% that Stalin got wrong, according to Mao, that 30% actually is a leftover from the Second International Orthodox Marxism. So everything got fucked up in the Second International. And also, because I want to educate you guys, the origin of social democracy from the Second International. So let me explain this to you. Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, they were part of the First International Working Men's Association. And Marx and Engels belong to a period of history called Classical Marxism, the history of Marxism. Very dialectical. They had a lot of freedom in terms of like the dynamism of the application of their views. Marx would support the Russian Narodnik movement. He would talk about developments in the colonized world. And so they were very much dynamic. They had a very dynamic understanding of the world, Marx and Engels. Okay, Marx dies. Engels is kind of retiring. Publishing Marx works, he's kind of retiring. Then the Second International emerges. The Second International institutionalizes Marxism. It institutionalizes Marxism in a period it's called social democracy, the first incarnation of social democracy. It's the institutionalization of Marxism. It's making an orthodoxy of Marxism, okay? And that's where the Bolsheviks came from. The Russian Social Democratic Labor Party, okay? Then Lenin comes along, and Lenin goes and he studies Hegel. He tries to rediscover the classical Marxism. He discovers Hegel, and then Lenin breaks out of the mold of Orthodox Marxism, and he gives rise to what is known as Marxism-Leninism as we know it. So he smashes the social democratic dogma, and he returns back to a more original and essential Marx. Okay? But the Bolshevik Party, which is the party he was part of, still had a lot of leftover dogmas from Orthodox Marxism, from social democracy. They didn't fully purge out that Second International from their party. So Stalin, as great as Stalin was, probably one of the greatest people to ever exist, if you ask me, he's up there with prophets, right? But even Stalin carried the baggage, you could argue. Maybe not in terms of his theories, but in terms of the things he took for granted as far as his worldview, in terms of the practical implementation of policies and the rest. Stalin probably took some things for granted that were remnants of Orthodox Marxism. And Mao critiques him for that. 30%, he's 70% right, 30% wrong, according to Mao. Because of that 30% legacy of social democracy. So Mao continues the legacy of Marxism-Leninism. Because, bear with me, there's three internationals. One, that's, as far as Marxism is concerned, that's classical Marxism. Two, that's Orthodox Marxism, the Second International. Three, that's the Marxist-Leninist, Communist International, okay? What is that three all about? Is Marxism-Leninism a qualitative break from the Orthodox Marxism, or is it just a continuation? That's the debate. So Stalin dies, and Khrushchev doubles down. No, it's just a continuation. It's not a break. It's just a continuation. All the dogmas are kept in place. Okay, then Gorbachev comes to power, and Gorbachev throws in the fucking towel. He goes, yeah, this whole Marxism-Leninism thing, we kind of made a big mistake. We're going to go back to social democracy. We're going to emulate the Swedish, Scandinavian, social democrat revisionists who took power. And, the whole Leninism thing was a big mistake. We're just going to become like the Swedish social democrats. And that was the path the Soviet Union was already destined for after the death of Stalin. That was already the path it was taking. It was taking a path of following in the footsteps of the Socialist International and International Social Democracy, allied with the non-aligned movement, which is headquartered in India at the time. Okay? So you have to understand, Gorbachev is not some evil man who came along and fucked things up. He was a continuation of the post-Stalin Soviet orientation, which was away from Leninism and toward social democratic revisionism. So I cannot stress enough how fucking stupid it is for all of these social democrat revisionist pieces of shit like Hakim and all of their communities. And by the way, I don't even consider them human beings. So I'm not talking about them as like human subjects. I genuinely could watch those people with my own eyes. I could watch them have a bad day and I would feel nothing. And Haas means what he means. They are not human to me. I fucking hate those people. I hate all leftists. But it's even more ironic that they're going to come out and they're going to do the Pizza Hut memes and Gorbachev. You are Gorbachev, you fucking bitch. That is you. The Pizza Hut meme is fucking stupid, by the way. No, Gorbachev didn't sell out the Soviet Union for Pizza Hut. The Soviet Union sold out as of Khrushchev. Gorbachev didn't sell out for Western consumerism. And I was going to write a Substack about this, but you don't even know what you're talking about. This is the most vapid form of anti-capitalism, where you take some major brand and you're like, that's capitalism. That's what it is. No, that's not actually what capitalism is. A fucking Pizza Hut brand is not the essence of commodity production. A Pizza Hut brand is a fucking... A Pizza Hut brand belongs to the Deleuzian society of control, not the society of discipline in the factory, okay? The Pizza Hut is not about these tangible commodities being sold. It's a fucking brand that coheres the entire logistical chain of production and gives it purpose and meaning according to psychological factors of libidinal investment and the libidinal economy. So just don't fucking... It's so fucking vapid. Late capitalism moment. Oh, we're just having McDonald's and Pizza Hut. That's what capitalism is. No, it's fucking not. Capitalism was some fucking fat guy who owned a factory with a top hat, and he squeezed out profit from his fucking workers who were on the mills, or they were fucking, on the assembly line even or something. That was capitalism, okay? The all these brands and consumerism, that's not capitalism. I'm sorry, it's just not. You have an extremely vapid sense and understanding of the world, which is more based on your own punk rock hipsterism than in any kind of proletarian, class struggle position. You don't even understand what the fuck you're talking about. The Pizza Hut thing is fucking stupid. I don't find it funny at all. And it's such the most cringe form of band kid humor. I cringe every time I see it. It's the most Hakim meme in the fucking world. It's like freaking, this is like Twitter moment. Gorbachev is in a Pizza Hut commercial. Twitter moment. I'm gonna make a tweet. Twitter moment. It's gonna get a lot of likes. What a silly late capitalist society we live in. Late capitalism. It's so ironic and it's so silly. Haha. Fucking cocksucker. Want to know what I find silly? You want to know what I find funny? Imagine you're playing Gary's mod, and there's leftist characters in Gary's mod, and they all burn alive to death. Haha, funny meme! That's what I find funny. See, it's funny. See, watch me laugh. It's a really funny joke for me. It's definitely something that's just a joke to me. See, I'm laughing. Can you see me laughing? That's what I think about leftists. That's what I think about them. Guys! Guys! I'm like part of the internet, the online left. I'm gonna like do Pizza Hut memes. You know, there's literally people who vote for AOC who are on Twitter, and they literally vote for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and they're posting the Gorbachev memes. I shit you not. There's people on fucking online who actually voted for Joe Biden, even, who are posting the Gorbachev memes. And they're talking about how Gorbachev... Aha! Gorbachev died! Pizza Hut moment! I'm saying this as someone who hated Gorbachev. Gorbachev was a symbol of my hatred. I fucking hated him. But this is not a victory. We didn't win anything. He's still in power. His legacy still lives on. And the reason I'm taking this stance is because all the people who are celebrating this represent the worst aspects. They represent his legacy. So make that make sense to me. Make it make sense how the people who are celebrating the death of Gorbachev the most on the American left represent his legacy the most. So just explain that to me. And what is that legacy? Well, the legacy of Gorbachev was this. With the reign of Gorbachev, revisionist communism was definitively aligned with the globalist liberal agenda. So the globalist progressive liberal agenda and communism were married under Gorbachev. It's because of Gorbachev that communists became fans of the LGBT movement and became fans of all the woke bullshit and the whole Angela Davis committee. I'm Angela Davis! And we're here for the committees of correspondence. It's me, Angela Davis. I was tutored by Herbert Marcuse, was funded by the Ford Foundation. And here is Angela Davis, who was funded by the CIA and the Rockefellers. It's me, Angela Davis, and I'm here to make the left more progressive and more feminine. Shut the fuck up with your fucking left wing. Shove it up your fucking ass. Blow it out your fucking ass. And I'm praising Mikhail Gorbachev for turning it into a democratic socialism. Thank you, man.
He's got a lot of explaining to do.
You know, it'd be funny if there was a game mode in Gary's mod, where there was all democratic socialist factions in an RP mode in Gary's mod, and there's a democratic socialist faction, and every single democratic socialist was hung and burned in a pit alive. And it's like an excruciating, agonizing video game. Like, when you're playing the RP mode, everyone just there's just a big pit. And every democratic socialist in Gary's mod is thrown into the pit. And everyone watches as it burns. And they're shrieking in agony and agonizing pain. And they're like skin is in the game Gary's mod, like an Unreal Engine 5 version. It's so detailed, you can see their skin burning off and all that kind of shit. Then we can talk about Gorbachev, right? But I'm seeing too many democratic socialists and leftists in general celebrating this as if, they aren't the same thing as Gorbachev. Gorbachev is dead. And I also have to remind people, you don't claim this as a W unless Gorbachev's legacy also dies. If just some fucking sick old man dies and you're celebrating that, I'm just seeing that as the sadism of the left. You're not even dealing with his legacy at all. You're not even confronting his legacy. You're not even attacking his legacy. You're just celebrating yourselves at the expense of some dead old man. And do I give a shit about Gorbachev? I don't. I don't give a fuck about him. But at the same time, it's like what do we win? We didn't win anything. Nothing was won. Nothing was accomplished. Nothing was accomplished. Now, on the other hand, I might silently celebrate if something happened to American leftists. Because that's here and now. That would actually mean something. Not doing it as left, I do it as a Russian. I can understand that. Don't get me wrong, I fucking hated Gorbachev. He was the symbol of my hatred. I fucking hated him. But you have to understand my frustration that I'm here in America with the same fucking people. Gorbachev was a globalist. He united communism with globalism and the progressive international left. And the progressive agenda of the globalists, including the LGBT agenda. So the reason we have the left in America today is in part because of the legacy of Gorbachev. But then I see those same fucking people celebrate this, and it almost seems like they're trying to repress their own past. I just want to tell these people, you are Gorbachev. If you're an American leftist, you are Gorbachev. See, Gorbachev is a dead old man. I don't give a fuck about him. These people are still alive and they're still at large. And they're coming for you and your family. I think that's a big fucking difference. I think that's a big, big fucking difference. But actually, I want to use this as an opportunity to tell a story. Because people might say, Haas, why do you hate the left so much? Why do you hate leftists so much? Sometimes people are confused. They say, Haas, don't you think you're taking it too far? Don't you think you're taking this anti-leftism thing way too far? Why do you hate them? I mean, yeah, you disagree with them about some stuff, but why is it that you hate leftists? Why do you hypothetically wish... Thank you, Chairman.
Are the pinnacle of social democrats calling themselves communists.
Yeah. Why do you hate leftists? No, people genuinely, especially international communists, are fucking confused about why I hate American leftists so fucking much. Let's pretend I didn't hate leftists. Let's pretend I liked leftists. Let's pretend I wanted leftists to win. Matter of fact, let's pretend I wanted the Starbucks union to win. And I wanted all of that to win. I wanted victory, victory, victory for the left. They would still call me a fascist. Thank you so much.
Your takes are like a hot knife through butter. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much, Tanui. They would still fucking exile me. You want to know why? Because they don't want to win. They don't actually want to win. That's why. I hate the left because they are whores and prostitutes. Sometimes literally. But I hate them because they are whores and prostitutes of the fucking Democrats. And I have experience with the left. I have experience. I'm a high energy male. I get things done. I know how to get things done, right? When I was working with leftists, IRL, they did not consistently, they did not want to win. They did not want to do anything that had, they didn't want to do anything that would make them independent or like promote them. They didn't want to be successful. They don't want to be successful. They don't want to win. They want to sit and whine and bitch and have these friend networks. They want to have these huge networks of thousands of people. Yeah, networks that they're all going to use as pools to get activists to canvass for the fucking Democrats. And they're like, I'm a leftist, but I'm against the Democrats too. No, you are not. No, you are not. You are a leftist. If you're a fucking leftist, you're a Democrat. At the end, when all is said and done, you are a fucking Democrat. Why? Because every time the opportunity comes positively to actually win in any kind of fucking way or get anything done, you're going to sabotage it, you're going to say no to it, and you're going to fuck it all up because you don't want to win. And you want one of the evidence of that? If you're a leftist, why haven't you won? Why haven't you fucking accomplished anything? Why haven't you built a fucking party with at least 30,000 people? Why haven't you reached the American working class if you're a fucking leftist? No, give me your excuse. Go ahead. Give me your fucking excuse. Go ahead. Tell me. Why haven't you won? Why haven't you won? Why haven't you reached out to the American working class and fucking done anything if you're a leftist? I'll tell you why. Because you love losing. You love losing. You don't want to be successful. You are a whore of the Democrats. That's all you fucking are. It's the only fucking reason you have any of the time of day to have an audience with anyone. You're a fucking whore of the Democrats. You don't want to fucking win. You have no excuse. It would be the easiest fucking thing in the world to actually win in this country as a leftist. But you don't want it. So we have to start asking the questions and going to the root cause of why they're not winning. Because I used to be a leftist. Believe it or not, I started out as a leftist. But I realized leftism is a loser cult. It's a cult of losers. They love losing. They don't even want to fucking win. So you have to go down to the root and you have to go to the root of the matter. And the root of the matter is this. Every aspect of leftism, every aspect of wokeism, every aspect of leftist morality, every progressive value that they have as it stands, every single aspect of leftist culture, every facet and every aspect of leftist ideology has its basis in the Democratic Party and the institutions thereof. Every single aspect. If you do not definitively break with the left in every kind of fucking way, and from zero, Cambodian Pol Pot style, from zero, year zero, create from scratch a completely different basis for your Marxism or for your communism, you are a whore of the Democrats and nothing more. You are a whore of the Democrats. And I was a leftist. And I know firsthand these fucking people, these cockroaches, these fucking worms don't want to fucking win. And I know that from first-hand experience. They don't want to fucking win. The biggest nightmare of a leftist is if they took power. If a leftist took power, they would do exactly what these fucking cocksuckers like fucking Boric and Petro do. But they would do what Alexis Tsipras from Syriza did. You don't want to win. They don't want to win. They don't want to win. The biggest fucking nightmare of a leftist is actually taking power. Thank you so much, Nicholas. And I'll tell you what, it's just like, put it this way. Imagine some dumb bimbo prostitute who's on a fucking 90-year-old billionaire's yacht. Imagine if suddenly she was charged with responsibility for sailing the yacht. Imagine if she was charged with all of the responsibility for all of the finances, all of the piloting the private jet and fucking sailing the yacht. She would freak out. Because she's a dumb bimbo prostitute who's only there to get fucked by this old man and has no other purpose. She's not there to be a leader. She's not there to fucking be powerful in any kind of way. She's not there to fucking take charge of anything. She's a prostitute. She's a whore. Thank you, Bobo. That's the same thing with leftists. They're not there to actually be the leaders of anything.
Not only that leftists
Thank you, Paperwhip.
to win, they also can't. Feckless, feeble, failures.
Oh, but you have to understand, they enjoy that. They want to be failures. They're in love with their failure. They're in love with that failure. They love fucking failing. Because they're the whore. Remember this. Just keep repeating it. They're the whores of the Democrats. They're the prostitutes of the Democrats. The more you just repeat that, the more everything makes sense. Thank you, Farrakhan.
Absolutely true. I remember a few years ago during Bernie's primary, the Chapo leftists knocked on 5 doors and Bernie lost, and then they became utter nihilists. Their biggest fear is having legitimate responsibilities.
Fucking remember, I remember the Bernie shit. You remember when we wanted to make a muscular left and we wanted to fucking fully be independent from the fucking DNC, and they called us Nazbols and they called us fucking toxic Nazbol, fucking red-brown conspiracy, fucking Dugan this, Dugan that. You guys remember that shit? I remember that shit because I was a fucking veteran of it. You guys know Samira and how much she hates leftists and how toxic Samira is? Samira was a Bernie surrogate. She saw it firsthand too. Don't fucking sit here and say I'm too harsh on leftists. Oh, Haas, you're too against leftists. Like that fucking cocksucker. Are we gonna name him? Are we gonna talk about Geoff Young on this stream? Like he's saying, Haas, you're just dividing the left too much. I'm gonna say, Haas, he's a 66-year-old man. Why don't you give him the benefit of the doubt, Haas? Because if he's 66 years old, he should fucking know it by now. He should definitely know it by now. But here's what's going on with Geoff Young, okay? So I'm going to show this to you. So Geoff Young won the Democratic primary in the 6th Congressional District in Kentucky. And what happened, I'm just going to briefly show this to you because it's kind of amusing. So this is this retard guy. So let me show you this. It's actually funny. I'm gonna show you what's going on. So look at this fucking dumbass. Look at this absolute dumb fuck who I have no respect for as an elder. Because they're a dumb fuck. And I have no respect for a fucking Democrat cocksucker. So check this out. Look at this. Geoff Young, Democrat for peace. Check this out. Look what he's doing now. He's popular now. So Geoff Young is citing Jay Sakai's Settlers, and he got 1,300 likes. And when he was denouncing me, he got like 600 likes for denouncing me. So left Twitter loves Geoff Young now. Left Twitter loves Geoff Young. And he's doubling down even more, like reading Sakai now and shit. You want to know why? Because this dumb fuck thinks that on Twitter, the more that Twitter leftists like him, the more his chances of winning in Kentucky are going to fucking strengthen. So he thinks that online, all that is going to translate into real world victory, and he's going to get elected. But, in all honesty, I'm going to say it. I actually looked at his district, and this is why I want to put a cap on this I want to put a seal on this Geoff Young business. He might win. I don't fucking know. He might win. Let me tell you why he might win. Because it's probably the closest in Kentucky. In the state of Kentucky, it's the closest Democrats ever get every election cycle. Last time, the guy only won by 60%. Okay, the Democrat won by like 40. Okay, so I guess that's kind of close for Kentucky. And then you recently had this abortion thing going on. And yeah, abortion, I mean, look what happened in Kansas with the abortion issue. So, the abortion issue might be enough to get Geoff Young actually elected in Kentucky. And if there's a possibility for that dumb fuck, that bumbling old fool, to win, let's just not be the ones he can blame. Let's not be the ones he can blame. So let's just fucking cease and desist from having anything to do with him. Let the leftists carry him to victory, and we're not going to wreck his shit. We're not going to stop him from winning. We're just going to ignore him. That's what I think. See, last stream I was like, you know what, Geoff Young? I will roast the shit out of you and whatever. I'll create a hate movement against you just for the memes or whatever, because I thought it's guaranteed he's going to lose. But I actually looked it up, and he has a non-zero chance of winning, so let's just ignore it. Let's just ignore it. We don't want to be the ones who are blamed if he loses. Let's just completely ignore this guy. Because listen, leftists are always going to promote people that hate me. Like, if someone turns on me, let me tell you how it works. If you're my ally and then you suddenly turn on me, you're going to get a huge boost. Very relatively huge boost, right? Like thousands of likes from left Twitter. And then 1 week later, they're going to fucking ignore you and you're not going to gain anything else from it. It's a very short, if you want short-term clout, just fucking denounce me. You will get very short-term popularity, and then leftists will discard you, because the goal is to bring me down. The goal is to fuck with me. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay that leftists do everything they can to try and bring me down, because every waking second of my day is now, as of now, on my part, spent doing everything in my power to something with them. I will make allies with the right wing. I will make allies with the Republicans. I will make allies with the militia movement. I will make my allies with the conservatives. Those are going to be my allies. And those are going to be my allies because I'm going to work with them to destroy leftists. And that's how much I'm convinced these cockroaches are the number one fucking enemy right now. That's how much I'm convinced of that. I will work with anyone who can destroy the left and destroy leftists. Anything to do harm to leftists. And how do I do the most harm to leftists possible? This is dialectics. The more harm you do to leftists, the more you make it possible for real communism to come into this country. Understand the dialectics. You go to the mother nest. You go to the sugar daddy, the Democratic Party. As long as you can ensure Democrats don't get elected, you are doing the most possible to ensure the victory of a working class movement in this country. The Democrats are the enemy number fucking one. You destroy the sugar daddy of these left-wing whores and prostitutes, you've got a ticket to victory. Because they are always, see look, they are my biggest enemy. Even though I block them and I ignore them, they still do everything in their power to fuck with me and bring me down. So if I want to get anywhere, I have to destroy the left first. I have to fucking absolutely eviscerate the American left. If I want to get anywhere. If you are a real communist in America and you want to fucking do anything, your number one enemy is leftists. Marx and Engels said that their biggest enemies their entire lives were the socialists, other socialists. You know who put a bullet in Lenin? A fucking leftist. They have always been our number one enemy. You want to know who internally sabotaged the Soviet Union, leading to the Great Purges? Fucking leftists. Remember, the left is the number one enemy. The right is just a mistake. Becoming a rightist is just an error. The real evil, the real enemy is in the left. The right can't be an enemy. Think about it. Even in fucking the Spanish Civil War, you think Franco and the conservative, reactionary, monarchical Spanish, you think they amounted to anything? No, those are a bunch of old farts who weren't even living in the present. They needed the left-wing element. They needed to appropriate. They needed those fucking phalangist thugs and lumpen, twisted psychos to take on the Republicans. And you know who else they fucking needed? They needed the fucking social democrats and the anarchists to fuck over the communists and the Trotskyists. They needed these leftists, both on the other side and even themselves. They needed some leftism to fight the Republicans. So rightists have never been a threat ever. Rightists are never ever a threat. The Nazis were leftists. Yup. The Italian fascists were leftists. That you're only ever a threat when you become a political Satanist and you decide that you are going to transgress the bounds of fucking basic human objectivity, right? You're going to transgress the bounds of political reality. It's leftism. The left has always been the number one enemy. Enemy number one. Again, the right is not an enemy. It's never been an enemy of anything. To be an enemy, you need to be a leftist. Do you think the White Guards in the Russian Civil War were the number one reason they were a threat? No. Because they were getting bankrolled by the fucking progressive internationalists coming from England and America, and France in particular, who had this globalist, wholesome Chungus vision, which was leftist. Those were the people who helped the White Guards. They're the ones who bankrolled the White Guards. It's the only fucking reason they were a threat to anyone in the Russian Civil War. And then who else? The traitors to the revolution who joined with them. Goes on. The number one thing I hate hearing, which is the biggest sign of being a fucking midwit, is when people approach me and they go, Hayes, those aren't leftists, those are liberals. No, they're leftists. They're not liberals. Lenin didn't write liberal communism and infantile disorder. He wrote left-wing communism and infantile disorder. They're leftists. They're not liberals. They're leftists. Hans, you think that leftists and liberals are the same? Yes, I do. Thank you so much.
Falange and the Italian fascists were to some extent inspired by Georges Sorel. Do you consider him a toxic influence overall?
No, I consider leftism a toxic influence in general. Any politics based on leftism is a form of mental retardation. Again, we're going to circle back because this is exactly what we're talking about here. Leftists do not want to win. Do you think Gorbachev had to do what he did? Oh, I'm Gorbachev. I'm a progressive leftist. more democracy, more democracy, more openness, harmony, bring the LGBT movement, inclusivity, progressivism, Western democratic culture, bring the hippies, bring the drugs. He did that because he was a compassionate leftist, by the way. Now, if the Russian Eurasianist, conservative, fucking hardcore KGB, fucking hard, like, if those motherfuckers were in power, they would have completely, you know how in Tiananmen Square they didn't run over the protesters with tanks? The tank man was not run over, they would have ran him over. If the hardcore Eurasianists, and they weren't explicitly Eurasians, but they were like these hardcore conservative communists, KGB hardliners, right? If they were in power, they would have ran motherfuckers over. And they would have fucking got away with it too. They would have ran motherfuckers over outright. But because Gorbachev was a leftist, that didn't happen. Leftists are weaklings, they're weak-willed, and they're only ever prostitutes of higher powers, such as America, and the Socialist International, and the Swedish Social Democratic, Nordic Socialist pieces of shit. I keep hearing the same thing. I keep hearing the exact same thing. Hayes, you're too harsh on leftists. You're confusing leftists and liberals. So you're saying, Hayes, if you're not a leftist, are you a right-winger? You know what I am? I'm a nuclear fucking bomb. That's what I am. I'm not a leftist or a right-winger. I'm a nuclear fucking bomb. I'm splitting the fucking atom within. How about that? What do you think about that? I'm not a leftist or a rightist. I'm a fucking grenade. That's what I am. I'm not a leftist. I'm not a rightist. I'm a fucking grenade. That's what I am. I'm not here to, I'm a leftist. Leftist value. You know, you're a cocksucker. That's what you fucking are. And the right wing will never accomplish anything because they're not active. They can't be active. It's antithetical to what the right wing is to ever be active in any way. Right wing basically just means you're against the tide of history. You're against the way things are going. So what? What are you going to do about it? You got to do something about it. Based. Thank you, Johnny.
One of the most based and true things you've ever said was that Hitler was an anarchist.
He was. Hitler was absolutely an anarchist. Hitler was the definition of an anarchist. What do we mean by dark Maoism when we say we're dark Maoists? What do we mean by that? Means, you know what I liked? Did guys ever tell you this? I'm going to tell you what my view is. This is where Haas is coming from. When I was in high school, I had to read Kurt Vonnegut, Slaughterhouse-Five. And I looked up what Kurt Vonnegut's political views were because when I was in high school, I was a fanatical communist or whatever, with a lowercase c because I wasn't in a party. But I was like a fanatical ideologist, and I always did a KGB screening of every author I was ever assigned to in English to know like how suspicious of them I should be, because that's how fucking paranoid I was and fanatical I was. I was like pretty much an Islamist, but for communism. Anyway, I heard Kurt Vonnegut say something that epitomizes where I stand. Okay? He said, in response to the events of September 11th, Kurt Vonnegut said, it's just too much, all right? In response to terrorism as a phenomenon, Kurt Vonnegut said, I think he was talking about terrorism, okay? He said, let me actually pull up the quote because I don't want to misquote him. I don't know. Was it him? I don't know what it is. I don't know if it was Kurt Vonnegut, actually. Alright. He said something. Okay. I just want to make sure it was him. They must have since scrubbed this from the fucking internet. Okay, here it is. Here it is, okay. So this is the exact quote. This is what struck me, okay? He said, so the interviewer says, what about terrorists? Do you understand where they're coming from? Do you regard them as soldiers too? Vonnegut's reply is startling. I regard them as very brave people. And then the interviewer says, you don't think that they're mad? That, you know, anyone who would strap a bomb to himself must be mad? And then Vonnegut says, well, we had a guy who dropped an atomic bomb on Hiroshima, didn't we? What George Bush and his gang did not realize was that people fight back. Peace wasn't restored in Vietnam until we got kicked out. Everything's quiet now. He was talking about the Iraqi insurgency. That's what it was. He was talking about the Iraqi insurgency. And he said, this is what he said. And then there was a long pause before Vonnegut speaks again. And this is what he said. He said, it is sweet and noble, sweet and honorable, I guess it is, to die for what you believe in. And that comes from a Roman saying. That's a Roman saying. Okay? It's a Roman saying, which is, it's sweet and noble to die for your country. And the contrast to me was very striking. He's talking about jihadi terrorists, and then he's using this Roman saying, and those two combined was very interesting to me. And I am an angry person. And what I mean by that is that I'm not a leftist. The left is associated with femininity and empathy and compassion and liking green and small furry animals and, you know, liking the environment. And I want to burn the environment. I want everything that's green to be burned. Just to weep. I'm being poetic right now, but I just want to see the tears of the leftist environmentalists see the entire environment burn into ashes. That's what I want to see. And as an angry person, I'm not a right winger. I'm not a right winger because the right wing just seems like it's just coping. So what I actually am is, instead of left or right, let's just go below or on the surface. And I like to go below. That's where I am, below. I'm the Schmittian guerrilla. I'm the Schmittian partisan. I'm the Clausewitzian irregular soldier. That's what I am. I believe neither, not the left, not the right, but guerrilla warfare. The partisan. Schmidt. Carl Schmidt, the partisan. That's what I am. I'm a partisan. That's what it is. Partisan. Let's do that. We're not leftists, but we're not right-wing either. We're partisans. That's what it is. Carl Schmitt's partisan. The irregular soldier. Irregular warfare. What the fuck does the left mean to us? Nothing. Nothing. And I hate leftists, and I hate the left in every way, in every capacity. I actually have hatred for the left. Ha! Pizza Hut! Ha! Pizza Hut! Pizza Hut! I'm gonna say something fucking crazy. I don't even know if I want to say it. In the 1990s, in Russia, in 1990s Russia, the alliance between communists and nationalists was unironically fucking based. And it was no different than in fucking China when there was an alliance between communists and nationalists against the Japanese. In Russia, when they had an alliance between the nationalists and the communists, that was unironically fucking based. Unironically. Unironically fucking mega based. Oh yeah, I'm going there. You're against Gorbachev because you did not agree with the dismantlement of a potential Soviet social democratic state. I'm against Gorbachev because I'm a Schmittian partisan who wanted to put together a nationalist communist alliance in fucking 1990s Russia. We are not the same, you fucking bitch. And I think the Nazbols were ultra leftists and anarchists and adventurous, and that's why I didn't like them. But there's always a but. There's always a but. The 1990s, when nationalists and communists came together, that was fucking based. That's what I have to say. It was fucking based. And that is actually the definitive era that we now find ourselves in today. That's our era. If leftism is all about fraternity, equality, how do you... That's not what it's about, American Virtual. It's just not. And I just... How many... If guys, this is what fucking... Like, it's incredible. Every day I go on stream and I say, I want leftists to beep. I say that every day. But people come in my chat like, aren't we still left? Well, no, we're not leftists here. We're not. I'm not a fucking leftist. I'm not. I'm a Schmittian partisan. Not a leftist. Not part of the right wing either. If you want to call me a leftist 20 years from now, call me one. Say in retrospect, he was a left-wing partisan. But I don't care. I have nothing to do with leftists and leftism. I fucking hate them. I fucking hate leftists and I hate leftism. And leftism is not about equality and fraternity. Leftism is specifically about this. Ready? Leftism in America is about being the shock troop vanguard for the ruling class. More bourgeois than the bourgeoisie themselves. That's what leftism is about in America. It's about purifying and distilling the ideology of the capitalist bourgeoisie and valorizing it and sublimating it into an entire ideology. That's what leftism means in America. And the right wing is just trying to resist that. The right wing sits here and they go, no, we want to resist the bourgeoisie's march of progress. And then here I am, the partisan, and I say, I don't want to resist anything. I want to go on the offensive. I don't want to resist. I want to fucking bury them in a tsunami. Let's have our own fucking march of progress. And bury these motherfuckers, hypothetically, metaphorically, poetically. See the difference? The thing that separates me from the right wing is that I think these people can be destroyed. There can be victory over them. I don't think they're scary. I don't think they're gonna win. I don't. As much as they are psychopaths, indifferent to the death of human beings, as much as they are scum and they're these evil fucking people, I don't think they're gonna win. I don't think that they're that tough. I don't think they're that strong. I think they're gonna fucking fold because they're cowards by nature. See, leftists are nothing. Leftists are bitch made. They're bitch made. If you go for their fucking real source of power, they will crumble and fold like nothing. They will be fucking squashed. The lesson of Mikhail Gorbachev and his death is the following. This is the lesson I want to give you of the death of Mikhail Gorbachev. The death is this. If you don't want any more Gorbachevs, go to the fucking root cause of the problem. Smash the open society. Smash international liberalism. Smash international leftism. Make closed society. Make a closed society. Be a fucking Eurasianist. Fight like a Schmittian partisan for a national, terrestrial, and telluric war of enclosing your society. Closing. Choke the Leviathan. Put the Leviathan in a chokehold as the behemoth. That's how you fucking get rid of Gorbachev. Gorbachev is just an egg laid by Leviathan.
Flexed biceps.
Thank you,
biceps.
W. Is that in order? Thank you, W11. Fight for the closed society. Close it up. Board it up. Make it a state of siege. Make it a state of siege. Board it up. Close it up. Put up the barricades, just like in the Paris Commune. Put up the barricades like in the fucking Paris Commune and get ready for a Schmittian irregular war against the globalists and the fucking Soros open society and the fucking international financial banking ruling class. That's what I have to tell you. Put up the barricades against the international central banks and the network of international central banks centered in the city of London. And poetically, I'm speaking poetically, become a grenade. Give yourself to the destruction of this enemy. This is what I believe in. If you, before you virtue signal about the death of Gorbachev, I want you to fucking prove you're gonna roll a little potato under Gorbachev's platonic source. Prove to me you are a Schmittian irregular. Prove to me you're actually waging war against the international globalist forces that were behind Gorbachev. If you can't prove that to me, you're a fucking cocksucker who's just fucking Pizza Hut memes. Let me tell you what these people had planned for the Soviet Union. All of these people saying Pizza Hut, whatever, Hakim people, they wanted Gorbachev without Gorbachev. Hakim wanted Gorbachev without the consequences of Gorbachev, and that's the fucking problem. No, really, think about it. Do you think Hakim is like a Stalinist? Raise your hand if you think these leftists are hardcore Stalinists. Do you actually think they wanted a return of like a Stalin? Like a hardcore fucking hardline communist state in the Soviet Union? No! They wanted Gorbachev. They wanted the LGBT movement. Woo, the pride flags! Wave the rainbow no pride flags. They wanted all feminism. They wanted all that shit from the West. They wanted drugs. Free the weed, man. Legalize drugs, man. They wanted all of that. Everything Gorbachev was trying to bring to the Soviet Union, they wanted. These are not hardcore ascetic Stalinist fucking warrior priests or warrior monks. These are a bunch of fucking left-wing pieces of shit. Bunch of hippie pieces of shit who wanted Gorbachev without Gorbachev. And you want to know some of the only fucking proof you need for that? Some of the only fucking proof you need of that. Some of the only fucking proof you need of that. Ready? Some of the only fucking proof you need of that. The same leftists are out here who denounce Gorbachev. They support Angela Davis. We need to come together for democracy in our age. We need to come together supporting Mikhail Gorbachev for the revolution. The revolution is coming. Power to the people in the revolution. And democratic socialism and the committees for correspondence are going to be here giving a speech. And we need a more effeminate left. We need a more feminine left. And we need to support our comrade, Mikhail Gorbachev, who together with the international progressive movement is trying to make us more progressive and democratic. We had a lot of mistakes in our past, comrades. Stalin took it too far. He was authoritarian and he repressed the glasses-wearing professional managerials. And we need to come together and support the Democratic Party. And we need to oust Gus Hall from the Communist Party. Because we're the committees for correspondence and we need reform and revolution. And when I say revolution, I mean it in the same way Steve Jobs did. Just a vapid, meaningless fucking term that's referring to a brand aesthetic change in our orientation. And leftists are watching those speeches and they're like, so true. Oh, I love Angela Davis. Fuck Angela Davis. If you are not... See, when Angela Davis passes, I'm going to celebrate. How about that? I'm not celebrating Gorbachev, but when it happens to Angela Davis of old age, yeah, maybe I'll celebrate. I might. I actually might. See, we're not on the same level. You guys are out here doing the thing that's acceptable. Oh, yeah, I'm going to celebrate Gorbachev. That's meaningless. Even fucking Chapo's doing that. But if I hear on the news that Angela Davis passed away, I might actually openly celebrate that. I'm not even kidding. See, we're not the same. Okay? I'm actually an evil, dark motherfucker. I'm really about this. It's not just like a meme to me. And then, Haas, that's cold-hearted. That's cold-hearted, Haas. I am cold-hearted. I've been made cold-hearted. I'm an evil, cold-hearted motherfucker. How about that? I'm an evil, cold-hearted motherfucker. I'm anticipating people, okay? So you guys, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Now, I'm not going to celebrate anyone's death. I'm not going to celebrate. I'm just saying, if you're going to celebrate Gorbachev's death, you got to celebrate all these other people's deaths too. You're probably not going to, right? I'm not a monster. I'm not going to celebrate nobody's death. I'm just saying, if you're going to celebrate death, be consistent. That's all I'm telling you. Be fucking consistent. Like, okay, I'm going to tell you guys, when Bernie dies, I'm going to do the crab rave thing. Fuck Bernie Sanders. How about that? Are you guys going to celebrate Bernie passing? Because I am. I plan on celebrating that. Rest in piss. You motherfucker. See, then I can relate to the Russians. So all the Russians who are celebrating Gorbachev's death as Russians, I don't have a problem with you. I'm going to do the same to Bernie Sanders, right? So I don't have a problem. We understand each other. The same way you celebrating Gorbachev now, I'm going to celebrate Bernie Sanders. But I just have to check all these leftists who are celebrating Gorbachev's death and shit, because they're not about shit. They're not about shit. They're a bunch of fucking fake pussies, a bunch of little bitches who are not about shit. They're not about a goddamn thing in the world. They're not about a goddamn thing in the world. They're not about it. They're just not. We're here with the committees for correspondence. And I'm gonna be here promoting Geoff Young for candidacy. We need to make sure that we get abortion. So let me tell you the reason Geoff Young might win. I don't know if I did this. So the reason Geoff Young has a chance of winning
based.
Certain people will pass away and we will be coincidentally celebrating for unrelated reasons in Unreal Engine 5.
Thank you so much, Janar. Absolutely. In Gary's mod, Unreal Engine 5. Absolutely. We are here to commemorate the death of Gorbachev. So Haas will celebrate the death of Bernie Sanders. Yes. Did I blink? Yes. Now why? Because you guys have to understand, when I declare something as an enemy, I mean it in this Clausewitzian sense. When an enemy is an enemy, I have nothing for them. Nothing. There's nothing. Remember what I said. Haas means what he says. Haas means what he says. It's not... I fully understand the complete gravity and depth of what I say. Which means I am taking into account his family and how his family would mourn his death. I'm taking into account he has kids. His kids would mourn his death. I'm taking into account his wife. I'm taking into account all of those things. Only then do I say these things. After I take it. See, leftists, they don't take it into account. That's why they so readily celebrate the death of all these people, because they don't actually take into account the real world. I do. So that's how you know I'm a cold-hearted motherfucker when I say I can actually do that. Oz means what he says. Never forget it. I'm a man who means what he says. Take me home, take me home, take me home. When am I gonna be? You know what I? You know, okay, we can. Okay, here's what we can do on Twitter. I want to give you guys a pro tip. So on Twitter, there's things we're not allowed to say. But you know that screenshot of Sam Hyde from the boxing match? You can post that photo. You can actually post that photo. So I'm gonna start posting that photo. My next tweet is gonna be something like, I don't know why leftists still interact with me because this is genuinely what I wish upon them. And then I'm gonna post the Sam Hyde screenshot. Because you can actually do that. It's a pro tip. You can actually do that. Just letting you know. It's a shortcut. It's like a you know. It's one of those things. Okay. Yikes. Alright, so I want to see some of the responses to the death of Gorbachev because I want to see Putin's response. I think he's going to be mournful. That's what I think. So let's check it out. Putin and the world react to the death of Gorbachev. It's easy to understand why so many worldwide held him in such high esteem, Biden said. Putin expressed condolences. Yeah, I mean, see, you guys understand. It's a formality. Gorbachev's tireless commitment to opening up Soviet society remains an example to us all. An example to us all. You know what's funny? On Twitter, the retards are responding to my tweet. The left-wing retards, and they're saying, "Hi, see, this is what I tweeted." You guys know what's funny? Look at this. And we're not doing any more Twitter bullshit. I'm just telling you. Very quickly, right? Because this is a news. So this is what I tweeted, right? and leftist retards, literally retarded, right? Literally, and I can't say anymore without getting banned, but they think that this is a pro-Gorbachev tweet. They think that this means I'm like praising Gorbachev. They literally don't even know what the Open Society Foundations is. So they literally think this tweet is pro-Gorbachev. That's how fucking stupid and worthless they are, right? And there's just, you have to, there's questions I wish I could ask without like, without getting censored. Like, for example, like, at some point when you're a fucking idiot, right? Should you be allowed to continue living by posting on Twitter, because you should be banned from Twitter, right? But Haas means what he says. Remember that. I always mean what I say. Anyway, guys, I don't know if you guys know this, but the Yankee Tanky actually went on Vosh's stream to debate Vosh. And it's funny because Vosh chose him, because Vosh clearly doesn't want to debate any tankies, but he chose the Yankee Tanky to debate. And, you know, because Vosh thought it would be an easy time, because the Yankee Tanky is a silly guy. And Vosh was like, okay, I'm not going to debate that Haas guy because I'm scared shitless of him. And I'm not going to debate any other the tankies. But the Yankee Tanky guy will be easy because, like, that, you know, he's a silly guy. So that's the guy he chose to use as an example. And get this, right? And you're going to see it because I'm going to show it to you. But get this. Vosh actually lost the debate. He actually lost. He actually lost the debate. So we're going to react to it and check it out. Not because this is the fat fuck Vosh, but because it's the Yankee Tanky, right? So let's see.
Red Phoenix is rising. We have defeated Vosh. This character can't bring an argument against us. It is clear to me that the Yankee Tanky has won. We are victorious! Solidarity, comrade!
Guys, remember, Vosh never uploaded my debate with him. So remember that. He never uploaded my debate.
Howdy, how you doing? Hello. First of all, sorry about the whole cult thing. That really sucks. That's not good. You indicated an interest in arguing with me on Twitter, which is a fine and respectable thing. What did you want to disagree about?
Well, I want to disagree with one particular thing. Okay, so it's one thing to say that Caleb Maupin was this individual that did terrible things, that was trying to build a cult, that was a sex pest. These things are all true. However, what is not true is this idea, this concept, that the ideology that we espouse, those who used to be former members of the Center for Political Innovation, that our ideology would automatically become some sort of cult. And that's what I'm here to debate today.
Yeah. Okay, so just to clarify my position, I don't think that it automatically produces a cult, but I do think, like, ideologically, you guys are authoritarian. And you're authoritarian in a way.
Which Discord server has more rules? The infrared one or the Vosh one? I'm just saying, like, do we actually have authoritarian personalities? Not really. We enforce Discord's TOS. And if you piss me off personally while I'm online, I might just ban you for no reason. But I'm barely ever online, okay? So, like, who's actually more authoritarian? I don't know. We literally... and our Telegram has no rules, by the way. Our Telegram has the rules of the First Amendment and nothing more. Just letting you guys know. Our Telegram has only the First Amendment as the rule. And we oh yeah, no sex, nothing sexual, nothing degenerate. So nothing degen, nothing sexual, and the First Amendment. and the laws, the U.S. law, and that's it. We don't give a fuck. So we have to ban all the far right people on the Discord, but not on Telegram. We don't give a fuck if you're on Telegram. We don't give a shit. Yeah, I wish people used Telegram more. I wish people used it more. People just use Discord, but the Telegram is way more fun. You know, it's like way more, and you can say anything, really. You can literally say, we don't, yeah, no N-word. Yeah, the N-word is a red line. We don't allow the N-word. But we allow all other words, literally every other word we allow it. So, yeah. No N-word, but you can say literally anything else, and we don't care. And it's so much fun. So who's more authoritarian, you know? I don't know. Is that our personality? I don't think so.
That kind of requires sort of like an anti-empiricist perspective. That is to say, like, you're...
Okay, we're already off to a wonderful start. So Vosh, the retard, doesn't know that Marxism is anti-empiricist, and that Marx called empiricism the notion that truth is grounded in a collection of dead facts. So we're off to a great start already with Vosh, who doesn't realize that empiricism... Why is he saying empiricism? What do you mean empiricism? Who the fuck is an empiricist in 2022? No one. Even positivists and the recent form that the positivists have taken, you know, the post-positivists, I guess you want to call them that, even they're not empiricists. Nobody actually believes that truth comes from sense datum anymore, Vosh, you fucking idiot. They have more like a structural, mathematical positivism, you know, according to which these completely, you know, these completely abstract mathematical formula describe reality better than any senses possibly could. So we're already off to a great start with the retard Vosh, who doesn't even know what empiricism is.
Your perspective involves, like, ignoring reality. So I think that the puzzle pieces are already set into place for
like, I could see why he doesn't bring me on, because I'd be like, okay, so you think reality discloses itself to us or is accessible to us exclusively or primarily through the senses, through the physical senses, the phenomenal senses, moreover? Is that what you think? I mean, that's a really stupid fucking thing to say, but okay. This guy's like David Hume, but fat. Well, David Hume was fat. He's like David Hume, but more stupid and doesn't actually know what he's talking about.
For wacky behavior like that to take place, which is probably not good.
Okay, so Epstein was a tanky, because he's basically saying if you're a sex pest or if you're running a cult, it means you're denying reality. And that's because of your authoritarian position. All right, well, what about all the fucking liberals and anarchists who do the same shit? I mean, I don't know. I'm just the guy asking questions.
I disagree entirely. I think that our ideology has lifted millions of people across the world out of poverty. I believe our ideology actually advanced forward human progress, is one of the main reasons why FDR was able to pass a New Deal, because he wasn't able to do that without being pressured by the CPUSA, the SPA, and trade unionists that were in coalition to force FDR to actually represent the working class. I don't think the welfare state of Europe would have existed if it were not for existing communist states like the Soviet Union.
He's right. He's actually right about all of this.
And farther, there wouldn't have been the successes of the Soviet Union with the space race, with advancements of cell phone technology and other things.
Yeah, I've made fun of Yankee Tangy before, but he's not mentally deficient, all right? He's not. He's just like, he's a bit silly, he's a bit eccentric, but he's not, he is a normal person. Like, he is a normal guy. He's very self-aware. He knows all the things he's doing. He's just a bit silly, you know? But, yeah, just want to let you guys know.
If it were not for our ideology.
Yeah, so the problem, you've already demonstrated it, is ideological.
And I've said this before, even when we weren't on good terms. I said, yeah, he's not stupid. He actually puts up a good argument. You know, he can debate. He holds his own. He knows how to argue, you know? And he brings up reasonable points. Oftentimes.
Incoherence. You've basically just roped together everything that you think looks good and, like, determined them to be a part of your ideology. The lifted millions out of poverty you're referring to, I assume you're referring to Dengism, is a liberal
Yeah, this is like embarrassing. I don't know why Vosh uploaded this. Yeah, why would you upload this? You don't know that communist states lift. You know, poverty's relative, right? So before the communists came to power, people were like dying all the time of malnutrition and disease, and they died significantly less after the communists came to power because their standard of living drastically increased, their caloric intake drastically increased. I know these are things you don't think are valid metrics of poverty, but they are. Yeah, sorry. Let's let him continue.
reformist revisionist ideology. The labor unionists and people who pressured FDR were largely anarchists, and
What? Oh my god, sorry. I thought Yankee was gonna make us laugh. I didn't think Voss was gonna make us laugh. Okay, source? Is there a source? I mean, interesting. Anarchists. The people who don't believe in uh, political involvement in any kind. Thank you, Chris
Voss
Morlock.
just takes every bad idea that supports the establishment and amplifies it. That's his modus operandi.
Yeah, actually, guys, the anarchists were behind the Popular Front. Did you guys know that? It was anarchists. Look at this. No. So we already know Voss is a fucking retard. That's okay. But the sad thing is his retard chat who just fucking eats this up like slop. Yeah, boss, it was the anarchists. It must be true. Yeah, boss. Yeah, man.
working class socialists in America. The people in the USSR were Marxist-Leninists, aka Stalinists, aka fascists.
They were Stalinists, aka fascists, aka anarchists, aka magicians, aka fairy tales, aka liberals, aka anything I'm pulling out of my ass, aka libertarians, aka what?
So the problem is like I don't think you really believe anything outside of a kind of generalized anti-American hegemony, which isn't necessarily a bad thing to believe in on its own, but it's not enough, you know.
Thank you, Blood Kangaroo. Where's my news? Watched earlier. Emila, thank you.
His chat is literally subhuman.
I agree with that fully.
I
By the way, guys, you know Sneeko got banned? Sneeko got banned. He got his second strike. He got 2 strikes for misinformation. Yikes! So he's probably gonna go to Rumble. And so is Haas. I'm talking to the Rumble people now. I'm just waiting for their email. And I'm going to be streaming to Rumble soon with Jackson. And we're going to be doing a show on Rumble. And it's going to bring the Twitch stuff back in many ways.
Great. I see that if it were not for the ideology that we pushed as MLs, we would not have had most of the positive things that workers have experienced across the world. Quite frankly, it was always.
Does he just go out of his way to like have a weak chin? Why? I don't understand. It looks so fucking stupid.
The communists.
You know what he looks like? He looks like a fucking Dr. Seuss animation. Like the Lorax. The 3D Pixar, well, not Pixar, but the 3D fucking Lorax animation. Look, he looks like a Whoville. Like, he looks like a fucking animal. Like a Whoville fucking, some kind of fucking forest creature. You know, this is like a high level of soy. Sometimes you have so much soy in you, you have so much low testosterone, that you become a fucking Whovillian fucking physiognomy.
It was always the Marxist-Leninists who actually pushed for these things first.
I don't think you're a communist.
The civil rights movement only existed because communists were on the ground first before anyone else.
But I don't think you're a communist. You're claiming ideology.
Okay, even if you don't, you know what he's talking about and you know what he's referring to. So just replace communist with Stalinist and take the stick out of your ass and why don't you just like deal with the substance of what he's saying? I don't know. Is that unreasonable, guys? Is that unreasonable? Am I being unreasonable? I don't know. I think Vosh and his chat. You know what? Hey, here's what I'm gonna say. This is what I can say. The same thing that Vosh and his chat wish upon the Russian army, I wish upon them personally. The same exact things. The same exact things they say they want to happen to Vladimir Putin and the Russian army, I want to happen to them, but worse. And it probably will happen to them in the coming years if there's an American event. And I will be cheerleading it as a male cheerleader. Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
I don't think you're a part of.
Marxist-Leninism is communism.
I'm sorry?
Marxist-Leninism is communism.
Even if I believe that, which I don't, you're still laying claim to ideologies that aren't Marxist-Leninism. Like Dengism is not Okay, we need to back.
What? What? Deng Xiaoping thought is not Marxism-Leninism, guys. Apparently not, because Vosh said so. Even though it like literally has been canonized as Marxism-Leninism in China, but okay. Okay. We're just having fun here, okay? This is like, just slowly watch the retard. Just slowly watch the retard say things.
Back right up, because okay, let's not talk about labels here, because like again, this is like cult brain shit. We need to talk about like actual ideological beliefs. So the last event that was put on by Ma Pin's little shindig before it fell apart was one in which the like Soviet and U.S. flag were held together at a 2-minute salute before bringing out the Z, the symbol of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So so the last event held was a pro-fascist event, which does little to inspire.
They keep using that word, and I honestly get why some people call themselves fascists. I get it now. Because these are the people who always use that fucking word. The mainstream media is always using that fucking word. The media is always using that fucking word. And they make it sound so fucking based. So I get why people call themselves that. I get it, you know? I don't agree with it for historical reasons, but I get it. Just based on how they throw it around, you know? You know what I mean?
The communist associations. I also haven't seen any like actual communist positions from any of you guys. Like you never talk about class or Marxism for that matter. You usually just defend modern states that have red in their flags.
Caleb never talked about Marxism. or class. Really? Really? That's interesting.
Which gets a bit confusing, especially when the modern Russia and modern China have engaged in like respective de-Sovietification and Maoification, with China on policy.
China engaged in de-Maoification. That's why. Okay, like what? So, okay, you know what? Hold on. Let's roll this back. Wasn't Voss the guy who said that Stalinists don't live in reality? He keeps saying things that I have no response to other than like bafflingly just having to point out like Voss, you know that Mao Zedong thought is still officially canonized as part of the ruling ideology of the Communist Party of China. Like, do I don't know. Do I have to tell you that there's still Mao statues all over China? They just recently, as like 10 years ago, made a fucking giant one, like those giant Buddha statues. They made one for Mao where he's sitting on a chair. I mean, like, do you not know these things, that Mao is still venerated in China? And there was, just because they ended the Cultural Revolution doesn't mean they had a de-Maoification. I mean, like you realize that in de-Stalinization, they erased Stalin from history. They just said they didn't have any Stalin posters up. They didn't have any Stalin statues. They took them all down. But with Deng Xiaoping's rise to power, all Deng did was critique Mao in the same way Mao critiqued Stalin. But there was still continuity. I hate having to sound like a fucking scholar when I respond to this retard. Like, why should I have to put effort, it's being correct in the face of this sloppy retard who just says random shit coming out of his fat mouth without any awareness about what he's saying? Like, okay, let's just continue.
Doing the Cultural Revolution and re-deifying its old imperial leaders. So it's like, what do you guys actually believe in?
Okay, again. Even during the Cultural Revolution, Mao was still venerating imperial leaders. It's just which ones. So during the Cultural Revolution, the legalists were being venerated, and the Confucians were being condemned, and afterwards the Confucians were rehabilitated. So again, it's just like a baffling level of ignorance. Okay, let's continue.
Apart from countries that aren't American, because it seems like it's totally inconsistent. It's just whatever like big military hegemon isn't America, you guys like them more than any.
Correction, if they're against America. If they're not against America, we don't like them. But if they're against America, we think they're based. And yes, that's all you have to do. All you have to do is be against America, and you're based. Well, not against America, but against the American Empire. And you're based. That's all you have to be. If you're opposing the American Empire, you're based. I don't care who the fuck you are. I don't care if you're Idi Amin. If you're Idi Amin and you literally eat people, I will support you if you're fighting the American Empire. Unconditionally. I don't fucking care who you are. Even if you're Idi Amin and you're literally eating people, it means nothing to me. I don't care at all.
Scientific socialism explains that over a time, our understanding of material condition changes. So this idea as if China, modern China, thanks to the market reforms that Deng did, for example, would not be Marxist-Leninist, would fly in the face of literally the books that both Deng and Xi Jinping have written. Okay.
What about Marx?
So, Bosch, you realize you just said empiricism, okay? Do you know what Marx said about empiricism? Why are you saying, what about Marx? You just said Deng wasn't a Marxist-Leninist. You just said that. A random thing to say. Fuck.
Karl Marx was the beginning of at least scientific socialism, right? Lenin was
Yankee Tanky. Props to him. He looks like a scholar trying to explain to like a actual retard. He's like just telling him basic shit.
An extension of Karl Marx, and then you would argue for in the case of China, Deng and Xi Jinping were expansions on both Lenin and Karl Marx.
Yeah, more like contradictions of. I don't think Marx would have approved of, let's...
Okay, like there's like 5 things wrong with that statement, right? So contradictions are part of Marxism. It's called dialectics. Second of all, Marxism isn't defined by what Marx would or wouldn't have approved of. It's defined by his essential discovery, which was practically built upon and implemented later. His approval is immaterial, okay? He died. So it's about establishing continuity with that original method of his thought. Thank you so much,
There's
Harold.
freedom of speech, but I cannot guarantee freedom after speech. Adi Amin.
Thank you, Harold.
Let's liberalize our economy and introduce members of the billionaire bourgeois class into...
Alright, well, that's just factually not true, because Marx actually supported free trade. And the Communist Manifesto does speak about, if you look at the 10 planks of the Communist Manifesto, they don't involve, eliminating the market. So I don't know why you're saying that. Why would Marx have a problem with that? You know what I mean? Like, think about it. Why would he? What do people being billionaires, what does that have to do with anything? That's just a fucking number in your bank account that determines your access to things. It doesn't actually define your class position at all. Actually. Retard.
To the vanguard party of the CCP. That seems to me somewhat antithetical. I thought the point of a...
Again, why is it antithetical? Being rich, okay. So, okay, if you're rich, okay, I got it.
The vanguard party was to represent the interests of the proletariat. How can you possibly...
It does. Do you know what the proletariat is, Wash? Do you know why Marx elevated the proletariat into conceptual significance in the first place? Because he wanted the workers to have emergency among us meetings and manage their Raytheon workplaces. Shut the fuck up, you fat idiot.
do that if it's made up mostly of members of the bourgeois?
I'm Boss. I'm retarded. I'm a retarded Burger King and I'm off of the Can I take you by boss? Hey guys, it's me, the scholarly academic who's gonna fact check Vosh just right now. Just letting you know that even if we were to agree with the idea that there's an equivalence between being rich and being the historical class that is the bourgeoisie that Marx was dealing with, that the rich and the billionaires that are in the CPC are actually an acute minority, and they are in no way a majority, and they are vastly outnumbered by both workers and farmers in the party. Just letting you guys know, just to be doing a fact check. because we're empiricists here and we want to live in reality, right? So empirically speaking, they're not a majority in the party, you Vosh. I don't care. I'm a retard.
Same with Russia, by the way.
If you don't understand how
Today, majority of people in United Russia, which is also a communist party and a vanguard party, by the way, is billionaires. Retard alert!
it's important to actually get the wealth extracted from the global south, or extracted from the global south back into countries like China, for example, right? you would understand that socialism would not be able to be implemented properly. This is part of the problem that had existed in the Cultural Revolution, was they were not organized based on material conditions. They thought they could change society through culture instead of material conditions. So the expansion of industrial growth under China with Deng and Xi Jinping.
What do you think a fat retard like this would think about the idea of someone being a Taliban turbo-dengist, Pol Pot Stalinist with LaRouche, Nixon, Nick Land, Dugin characteristics? Like, what if there was an army of cowboy Taliban, turbo-dengist Stalinists with Duginist, Nick Land accelerationist characteristics, and Vosh was captured by that army? What do you think the expression on Vosh's face would be? I'm a Schmittian partisan. Carl Schmitt, the partisan. Fuck leftists.
The whole reason that they were able to accomplish what they were accomplishing was because they were stealing back the capital that was stolen from them initially from the West.
So, again, this isn't a Marxist perspective. We're talking, again, you don't like talking about class. So I... just talked about the bourgeois being in power in Russia and China, and your answer was that they need to have the bourgeois in power as a way of mobilizing the productive forces of China to get their money back from the West. Which, first of all, they're doing a terrible...
The bourgeoisie is in power in Russia and China. That's why they're all fleeing, and Putin's cracking down on them because they're opposed to the special military operation. And that's why in China, the billionaires are regularly jailed if they speak out against the party, and they have no power whatsoever.
Terrible job, because America's still number one, baby. And two...
Imagine being a fat retard about to slip on a banana peel, and you're like, I'm still walking. And you're literally right as you slip on the banana peel, you're like, well, I'm still walking. And then you slip and crack your head like a dumb fat bitch. Like, we're literally headed for a civil war. China has already overtaken our economy. By every observable metric, China is going to overtake the US in every possible way. And this fat retard is saying, no, because we're America's number one right now, apparently, they've done a terrible job. Like, what a stupid fucking thing to say.
What does that have to do with Marxism? If your perspective is only anti-imperialist, then just say that. But Marx would have never said, yeah, just let the bourgeois control your country if it lets you sufficiently exploit your working class to, like...
Can the bourgeois actually control your country if your policies regularly come at their expense? I don't know. Can the bourgeoisie really control your country if you are regularly challenging the very foundations of the accumulation of their wealth? I don't know. Can the bourgeoisie actually be in power in your country if you're constantly revolutionizing the forces of production and preventing them from becoming the monopoly bourgeoisie that's stifling all other competition? I don't know. Like, you know the way China's promoting small to mid-level enterprises? Does that help the bourgeoisie? How? Promoting competition for the ruling class? China literally has Tesla in China just to be an invasive species to spur competition. China's literally saying, fuck you to the current car manufacturers, and they're just letting Tesla loose on the Chinese market just to provoke competition. How does that help the bourgeoisie? How does that help the monopolies? I don't get it. I I don't get it. And can you help the bourgeoisie without helping them as a monopoly? Because that's what it means. If you're helping the bourgeoisie, you're turning them into a monopoly. That retard Bush has not thought of these things. Retard.
Get the wealth back from the West.
If you do not extract the wealth back from that was taken from the West, it is impossible to actually create a communist society. Socialism is not when everyone's equally poor. Socialism is when we rationally organize labor around people instead of profits.
These are cold answers. These are all no, it is. I can see it in your head. You're following these answers from bumper stickers that you have in your mind. Think for a second. I'm talking about class. So why can't the CCP manage
to be able to?
The CCP is the bourgeoisie because there's like rich people in it, even though they're an acute minority. I'm boss, that retard.
To economically progress, you have to have the capital, the financial means to actually make that possible.
Okay.
And that is in the 21st century has lifted millions of people out of poverty and have created a society that is a lot more rationally organized than anything that we see in the West.
Capitalism has done wonderful stuff for China, I agree. But we're not talking about class. Wait, I'm begging you to engage in class analysis.
Feudalism had markets. Capitalism has markets. Socialism has markets. The old slave states have had markets. Markets are not.
Socialism can have markets. It can't have bourgeois. I'm talking about class. You keep ignoring the class element. This is the fourth time now. I talk about class, and you're like something else. Class.
Let's clarify. If we want the working class to do well, we do not want them to all be equally poor. Okay, so this isn't ignoring the class element, it's expanding on the class elements.
So why do the bourgeois need to be...
What the fuck are you counting down to? What is this guy counting down to? What are you counting down to? Tell me.
In the CCP. If it's a proletarian state, which is what they claim to be, then why would they allow the bourgeois to be part of the CCP? They should be the underclass. The bourgeois should have the boot of the proletariat upon them. But
they literally do. Politically, they literally do. I don't know what else you want.
But the bourgeois are in the CCP.
The bourgeois into the Chinese Communist Party. They would never have been able to bring the wealth that was stolen by the West back into China.
How do you need to put the billionaires in charge of your society in order to take the wealth back from America?
What Pol Pot was, right?
Alright, this is where Yankee took an L. Alright, don't diss Pol Pot. Alright? Second of all, I think he came a little underprepared. Right? Because all he had to say was that the billionaires, A, are not the bourgeoisie, and B, are a tiny minority in the Communist Party. They're not a majority in any capacity. They're not ruling over anything. They don't wield power in the party. They don't. No one controls the CPC. It's above all of the wealth in society. It's above all distinctions in wealth.
To have everyone to be equally poor, people to be in poverty, people to, end up being genocided.
Okay, please listen. Please. And listen to what please. Just what I'm actually saying here, okay? So I'm talking about class analysis, like in a Marxist sense. So why would the Chinese Communist Party, which is meant to be the vanguard party, the vanguard of the proletarian state, how are any of its goals for proletarian advancement brought about by putting the bourgeois in power?
They're not in power, you fucking idiot. The new class, if you want to call it, that's what they're called in China, have representation because the Communist Party wants to give representation to all sectors in society, but ultimately the proletariat's interests prevail over all of them. It's like, do you not? You just all you have to do is study these things. You know, you don't have to just say nonsense.
By allowing the export of capital to return to China.
How could they not just do that through policies implemented without having the bourgeois in power?
Economic resources within China when they were in like a semi-feudal state that just got socialized. Okay, they did not have the capital, the means in which to actually move production without bringing back capital to China.
No, I'm not talking about bringing back capital. We know China has to have capital. I'm talking about the bourgeois. Why do the bourgeois need to be in power? You can just mobilize the capital and resources of the bourgeois without putting them in power. That's the point of a proletarian state.
Relations with China, if China did not allow sectors of capital to be within their party.
So explain to me how they needed to put the bourgeois in power in order to use the resources of the bourgeois. As I understood it,
they were allowed into the party because they were obviously commanding, economically speaking, they were holding a huge burden of responsibility administratively and managerially as, you know, business leaders, right? And their input, you know, could be valuable for the party's policymaking. They have perspectives not everyone else has. But their specific class background is measured. It's stamped on them. So it's not like they can wield all of this power in terms of the decision-making of the party. It's like, okay, what do these business leaders have to say? Okay, we've got your input. We're going to take into account the conflicting interests and where your interests are coming from. But if you have valuable input as far as what's best for all of the Chinese people, we'll take it, right? So it's not that they're being put into power. It's that they are being allowed to voice, you know, their perspective. Because they do have a perspective. Now, does that perspective immediately represent all of the Chinese people? No. That's why the farmers and workers have an overwhelmingly outsized influence in comparison to them. Farmers and workers dominate the party, right? In terms of numbers. Like, the party is meant to reflect Chinese society. I don't know what else needs to be said. And Chinese society has been formed under the proletarian dictatorship. The new class emerged under the proletarian dictatorship. It's not like this is the old bourgeoisie. It's a new class. Now, you can call it a bourgeoisie if you want, but sociologically speaking, it doesn't have the characteristics of the bourgeoisie. It doesn't have the autonomy of the bourgeoisie. It doesn't have the extent of private property as the bourgeoisie. All of the aspects of their lives are completely controlled. Like, the extent to which they're able to make decisions are almost confined to matters of taste. They're not really allowed to make sovereign choices themselves. Everything they do, they're heavily monitored by the party in every possible respect, and they have a leash on them. They're fucking controlled, okay? But at the same time, they also have responsibilities that others don't. They oversee and manage these companies as leaders, right? As leaders of a sector of industry or society. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's the way he's describing it is like you think that they're in power, but they're not. It's just that their perspective is given representation, just like everyone else's is. And since they're a minority, their perspective is not going to outweigh the perspective of others.
Proletarian state is a state in which the proletariat are the dominant class. You can just exploit the bourgeois as an underclass without putting them in charge.
You would not be able to get the capital from the West
There's no sound. Oh my god. Anyway. So his reasoning is that there's a new social stratum. The party's main goal is unleashing the forces of production, and that social stratum has valuable experience and insight in regards to that. So there you go. It's not for any purpose that is.
Morning revolution.
Thank you, Emilio. I appreciate you.
If you did not put people within the CCP in positions of power, so the West would trust China.
I don't agree with Yankee. I'm on his side here, but I don't agree with him because I don't think it was necessary. I just think they did it because it helped. Now, if they didn't do it, would it have destroyed China? Would they have not have been able to develop? No. But it was considered beneficial by Jiang Zemin because these are, outstanding members of Chinese society who literally did build their wealth from the ground up, unlike in the West, which has dynastic monopolies. And they built their wealth because these are good businessmen. They have good, savvy experience dealing in business as entrepreneurs. They're skilled at what they do. They're good leaders. Why not? Why not have their valuable experience and input be brought in the party? Why not? That was his reasoning. It's not like this is a bourgeoisie that's independent of the party. Sorry, independent of the sovereignty of the country. It's not like this is a bourgeoisie proper. The bourgeoisie proper is internationalist and globalist. They don't have any loyalty to any sovereign country, right? Well, all of the wealth that was created for this new class was under the supervision of the Communist Party and the People's Republic. They are fully embedded within that communist society. So why not? It's not. See, a bourgeoisie is not the same as that. I would argue they're not the bourgeoisie, just because they're rich.
To think that China was going to be liberalized by the West.
It's like the Russian military strategy. It's a feint. They're like, okay, we're going to fill our vanguard party with members of the bourgeois to trick the West into using our sweatshops. That's the best you've... Sorry, my cat.
And
that's the best you've got?
It was successful. I mean, look at what
China is now. They're capitalist. Well done.
Poverty.
Yes, China is capitalist. They're poorer than us and they have sweatshops. They're doing great.
The retard boss. Yeah, guys, so should I respond to this seriously? I don't know. Yeah, guys, Game Racks here. So, this fat retard, Vosh, he's kind of saying that if China doesn't immediately, overnight, accomplish what it took centuries for the United States to accomplish, that means they didn't accomplish anything. Chinese economic development is non-existent because China has not surpassed the United States' standard of living, despite having accelerated within the same time span a degree of economic growth that took the United States more than a century.
They are not poorer than average Americans. The GDP might be lower in China, but the quality of life for average Chinese workers compared to average American workers is a higher quality.
Do you have a source on that by chance?
I don't know if I would agree with that. I think in terms of access to luxurious consumer goods, obviously not. But I think in terms of health and well-being, it is much higher. I think so. And all you need to see is how Chinese people react to the United States. Take a Chinese person to Los Angeles and they'll be like, holy fuck, we don't have this shit in China, right? China doesn't have these homeless, drug-addicted bums roaming the streets. It doesn't have... See, the kind of poverty China has is qualitatively different than the one in the U.S. Chinese poverty is just people living in villages who don't have access to modern goods, basically. But poverty in the US is like a form of pauperization. It's people who just live in squalor and they're just completely fucking living in dirt and like filth and just like they die at 40 years old or some shit because they're fucking high on crystal meth and shit. I mean, like, it's so different, you know? It's apples to oranges. I would say the quality of life on average is higher in China as long as we don't use access to luxurious consumer goods is like the principal metric of that. The principal metric is like psychological and social well-being, health, in terms of like how healthy you are. I think it's better. China has less diabetes and chronic obesity and like diseases and fucking health problems. People are healthier. And I think China has better mortality than the US right now, right? So let me actually see this. Or life expectancy. Chinese life expectancy. Okay, actually it doesn't. For whatever reason, I thought they did. So China's life expectancy is 76 years as of 2019. And, oh, wait, never mind. Yeah, so that was in 2019. All right, so check this out. Check this out. This was my source. Yeah, I do remember this. I do remember this being a thing. Check this out. So China had a higher life expectancy than the US in 2019. I don't know if that's still the case. I bet it is the case, especially the way things have gone now. But yeah, I mean, that's not nothing. It's not nothing. Let's see. Is this is nothing according to Walsh, by the way. Okay, let's continue.
Not on me, no, but I can confirm that is the case.
Oh, okay. Well, your confirmation is what I need. Okay, so I still don't understand how the bourgeois need to be put in charge. Maybe that's what America's doing. Like, we have the bourgeois in charge in America as part of like a 70 chess strategy to advance the proletariat.
Nope, because there's no organ of power in the US that exists independently or elevated above the bourgeoisie. There's none. There's none at all. There's no like communist party that's able to even make the sovereign decision to accept them or not. There's no sovereign exercise of power outside of the bourgeoisie in the U.S. Thank you, Chris Morlock.
The key to understanding China versus U.S. quality of life is trajectory. By 2050, they will surpass real GDP. PPP now is still 1/3 of USA, probably will overtake it in the late 2030s.
No, but they're not richer right now, so that means China's nothing, and they're just a poor shithole country. Don't fat retard.
You have to have politicians in any government that's capable of understanding geopolitics in such a way that they can manipulate the West for the benefit of their own country.
Can the proletariat not understand geopolitics? Are you a classist?
They are not. Actually, Chinese workers understand things a lot better than American workers, largely because they are not propagandized like American workers.
So why not just have the proletariat in charge?
Say it again?
Why not just have the proletariat in charge then? If they understand things so well, why do you need the bourgeois stepping on the proletariat?
China. At any point, the Chinese government, ran by the workers of the country, are capable of stepping in and changing how production.
So, pro tip: anytime a retard says, "Why aren't you literally the proletariat?" No, there's different versions of this. One version is like, "The Bolsheviks took power, not the proletariat." Or there's also the one that's like, Haas is not the proletariat, he's just a fucking Twitch streamer. So anytime a retard says that, you have to understand that there's a discontinuity between the expression of a class position in, for example, politics or in culture, and the actual physical, like, individual relation to production that defines the class position. And the proletarian position in politics is represented by lines. It's what line are you pursuing? What path are you pursuing? What's your line? And what is the basis of that line, right? Which stratum of society makes the implementation of that line possible? And the reason China is still a proletarian dictatorship is that because China's policies are elevated above all of the private interests of society, the only reason it's able to implement its lines and its generalized courses of action is because it ultimately gains its legitimacy and its how should I put it? Its sanction from the proletariat. It's the proletariat that makes it possible for the Communist Party to be elevated above all of the particular, social strata within the society. For example, like if China does something that's going to piss off the Jack Ma's, or if China does something that's going to piss off, even the farmers, China's going to do something that's going to piss off, and China has pissed off the farmers before, right? The reason it can piss off all of these different sectors of society is because it grounds itself, its sanction, its basis in the universality of Chinese society. I don't want to throw buzzwords at you, but the Communist Party of China can represent China's society in general, not just one particular stratum, because it gives expression to the proletarian class within that society as a general and universal interest. And that doesn't manifest itself in like bringing actual workers to directly make all the decisions, even though they have a huge part in the decision making, because they're like very much well represented within the party. And the decision making processes that create 5-year plans. But the lines that are pursued, the political policies, the class line that's pursued within China is based on the proletariat and the proletariat's position. Even if that may come at the expense of the proletariat's own immediate form of consciousness. That is not what decides it. And such is dialectics, ladies and gentlemen. Dialectics means a contradiction between the political and the relations of production. There's a discontinuity there. There's not a direct continuum between them.
Production is operating.
But the bourgeois are in charge. We acknowledged that earlier.
Oh, they're not really in charge. They're just in governments. That doesn't mean they're in charge.
I take it back. I do think that your ideology leads intrinsically to cult behavior. This is insane. So the problem is, I could never convince you of this, but you're not a Marxist. You're not even like remotely a leftist. You're just a nationalist for countries that aren't American. That's the only consistent ideology you have. You'll repeat like state.
I'm an ultra-nationalist for the Taliban.
Lines of propaganda from them, but outside of that, there's like no consistency in what you believe at all. It's certainly not Marxism. We are so far. This is like scientific socialism, like we scientifically just rounded back to capitalism with nationalist characteristics.
You do not understand dialectical materialism. You don't understand that our understanding of material conditions change over time.
To capitalism.
Not to capitalism, okay?
So it seems.
Conditions exist. Change over time. You don't step in the same river twice.
So again, I can see the bumper stickers flying through your head. I don't think you're an unintelligent man, but you're still like, I still feel like I'm talking to a cultist right now. You're not engaging in analysis when you respond to me, which is why I feel like I have to keep wrangling you back to the point that I'm on. You have like predetermined propaganda lines.
Point that you're trying to gear the conversation into the means that you control it, right?
Basic Marxism, just basic.
Understands the working class of China and Russia and all of these different countries. They are struggling against U.S. imperialism. That is the fact of the situation.
I'd like no, I don't know if I even necessarily agree with that.
Well, of course, you support NATO.
I think that the workers of China and of Russia are mostly subservient to their own bourgeois states, more so than anything. There are plenty of countries that are directly subservient to American imperialism, but China is powerful enough that if it wanted to, it could provide a better life for its citizens.
So China's deliberately holding back a better standard of living for its citizens. They just don't want to. They're just assholes for no reason. It doesn't take time to develop a country. It's just like, if you want it to happen, it'll just fucking happen, right? It just happens like overnight, pretty much. It's like if you go to McDonald's drive-thru and get a McDouble, it's just that simple, They're just not ordering the secret menu for overnight standard of living that's better than America.
It chooses not to, but
they do. They do provide a higher quality of life for their citizens.
I'm sure, right? I'm sure.
So does Iran. So does Venezuela. So does Nicaragua.
Yes.
So does Cuba.
Yes, the citizens of Cuba, Iran, Nicaragua, and Venezuela all have higher qualities of life than American citizens. I'm sure. I'm sure the sources.
No, but they have better qualities of life relative to what they had before under the American global economic system. Never thought of that, boss?
You can provide on these issues.
I'm squatting in a house while all of those people have guaranteed housing.
I'm sure there are no homeless in China. There are no homeless in China.
There actually aren't. I'm gonna go on record and say, like, there's the amount of homeless in China is so negligible. It's not even worth talking about. Everyone in China has somewhere they can go back to. You have a hukou. You can always go back to your fucking village in China, your district, wherever. There's no such thing as like, yeah, sorry. Even the homeless are pretty much migrants from the countryside who are in the hukou that they're not actually belonging to. Okay. So Wikipedia is speculating that in 2011 there was 2.4 million homeless adults, which is probably not true, because those, again, are not actually homeless proper. They are, by the way, it's not even higher than the U.S. relative to the population of China. It's actually less, but they have homes. They're just living in the streets because they're migrant workers working away from home. Yeah, there was 290 million migrant workers who have a rural hukou, but they moved to the cities in order to find better jobs. Though due to their rural hukou, they are entitled to fewer privileges than urban hukou. They live in overcrowded, unsanitary conditions. Yeah, but that was decades ago. Things are changing. Homelessness as such is not... You don't have crackheads running the streets, all right? I'm gonna go on record and say something. There is no equivalent within China of Los Angeles. None. San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York. There's nothing like that in China at all. Nothing. You will never find that in China. I will go on record saying you will not find anything like Los Angeles in China, where there's shit and piss and fucking needles and fucking crackhead bums, zombies roaming the fucking streets, throwing buckets of diarrhea at women and shit. It just doesn't exist there, believe it or not. It doesn't.
There are no... Yeah, I know. Again, like, it's just nationalism here, but none of it like revolves around class interest in the slightest. It's just like you like these countries.
To be better off, you have to remove U.S. imperialism before anything else.
Well, there's not really much of a point in removing U.S. imperialism if they're just going to be subservient to the interests of their bourgeois-controlled governments.
Now, the countries of Venezuela, Nicaragua, and China, and Russia, and Syria, and Iran, it would be better if we just let them be under the boot of U.S. imperialism.
I have to pee, alright? I have to pee. I'll be right back, okay? Am I allowed to say? Never mind. I'm not gonna say it. Yeah, never mind.
How about, what if we got rid of... Okay, so this is a crazy idea. So we should get rid of imperialism. That's good. Because without U.S. imperialism, the people of Syria would be doing just fine. Actually, let's talk about the people of Syria. So, in addition to removing U.S. imperialism, there's also another powerful autocratic force in that region that's suppressing the will.
That's Assad. He's such an evil person. You know, this guy that didn't even want to be the leader of this country, that only got forced into the position after his brother died. Yes.
Yes, the person who inherited the monarchical position from his father and won with a 99.9% approval rating. I know. Yeah, I'm sure. Poor Assad.
Actually support their leader.
If only the protesters he gunned down understood his pain. Do you wait? I genuinely have to ask. Wait, so because I just heard what you said, even though your mic's a bit dodgy, but that's fine. That's whatever. You just said, oh, so something. They support their leader. Do you sincerely believe that the election results for Assad and his father were legitimate? They're like 99.7%. You do?
Yes.
Okay, you're going to fall into another cult as soon as this conversation is done. You realize that, right? Like, you're literally going... Like, the call's going to end, and you're going to walk outside, and somebody with a pamphlet is going to convince you to kill yourself on the street.
Voss is a pedo.
Is cults. You know, the cult of NATO, the cult of U.S. empire. You fully support them. You literally are arguing in favor of NATO.
I know, it's to a dogmatic person, it might be difficult to understand. I guess maybe you can help me. I don't know how to talk to a person like you because you are in a different world. You don't exist in the one that I exist in. I don't know how I can talk to you. Is anyone delusional enough to believe that Assad's election results, like all the info we have, like you have to ignore so much in order to believe that that was the legitimate democratic will of the people, that I legitimately, like, I put this on tier of like Holocaust denial in terms of how far gone you have to be from reality. But the problem is, like, you believe this about everything. I've talked to Nazis plenty of times. Normally, their delusion begins and ends at a very specific set of things when it comes to that level of, like, self-delusion. But for you, it seems to be like half the countries on Earth are subject to your nationalist dogmatism.
How you would view Nazis as more rational than communists. It's almost as if you support Ukraine and have...
You're not a...
See, that's the thing you're always going to find with liberals. You know, they don't consider communists possible, but they consider Nazis possible. Liberals respect Nazis because they're one step away from being Nazis. But communism is something they consider a Clausewitzian enemy. So it's like this, right? Communists are relating to liberals as enemies on the basis of absolute enmity, true enemies. Nazis are not opposed to liberals on the basis of absolute enmity. It's basically a disagreement on principle, it's a disagreement on ideology, it's a disagreement on overt conscious beliefs and commitments, but it's not like this like metaphysical difference, right? That's like rooted in something actually real, right? Something that's not based in abstraction, something that's actually based in an irreducible difference. So that's why Voss will openly admit to preferring Nazis over talking to Stalinists or communists, because whereas Stalinists and communists represent an entirely, like, you want to put it in Rick and Morty terms, they represent a completely different timeline. Whereas Nazis are still part of the liberal modernity timeline, right? It's just like an extra step of emergency dictatorial powers they take, which they fully accept as possible, right? They don't accept Stalinism or communism as an alternative form of modernity and an alternative form of development. They don't recognize it as possible. So they just say, okay, we may as well ally with Nazis because you are the same as Nazis. That's where the logic goes. May as well.
communist. See, that again was a bumper sticker answer. You didn't address what I said. You just like thought of like, well, what's one of the predetermined lines I have? I don't think of you. You're not a communist, so I don't think it's a fair comparison.
I am a communist. You aren't. You support NATO.
Right. Again, it's dogmatism. You don't have any logic. You just have talking
It's
points.
dogmatism to like support countries that are actually improving the material conditions of their own working
Stop right
class.
there, criminal scum.
Dogmatism to support NATO, to support U.S. empire, to support.
You're doing it again.
And pushed by the U.S. State Department. That's not dogmatism.
You're doing it again. You're not actually So okay, the point of
What am
an
I doing?
argument is that you address what a person has said and you respond to it in a manner to refute it. What you're doing right now is you're repeating like talking points. So you keep bringing up NATO. I haven't brought up NATO once. I don't know why you keep bringing it up. I'm only talking about things that you've brought up here. So, but you keep running to other like things. Do you understand? Like, we were talking about Assad.
Because you are advocating for NATO and advocating.
We're not talking about NATO. What I didn't bring up NATO.
Why do you pretend to hide behind this leftist spear instead of actually, just saying it outright that you support U.S. imperialism, that you actually believe that it would be better for the United States to control and manipulate the world?
I don't believe that.
Your actions say otherwise. When you do not support those who are actually fighting against U.S. imperialism, but instead support U.S. imperialism because, they're a lesser evil, effectively what you are doing is serving the interests of multinational corporations, serving the interests of monopoly capital.
Oh my god, it's all bumper stickers. Okay, wait, let me try to roll this back. Okay, so when America invaded Nazi Germany, would you agree that was an extension of American imperialism?
Okay, World War II was an imperialist war. It's just that the Soviets allied with one of the imperialist factions of that war because they were invaded by the other one. And then as soon as they destroyed the Nazis, that the Allies were planning on literally nuking the Soviet Union in Operation Unthinkable. So, yeah, World War II was an inter-imperialist war, and the Soviets identified it as such, but it was also a war of national liberation for Central and Eastern Europe. So there was a strategic alliance between these forces waging a war of national liberation with one of the imperialist blocs, if you will, which was Britain and America at the time. But as far as the USSR was concerned, there's two wars. There's a patriotic war for the liberation of the Soviet territories in Eastern Europe and the lands that were occupied by the Germans in Europe. And then there was also this inter-imperialist war that was going on. So, yeah.
No, it was actually working with the Soviet Union to crush the Nazis.
Wait, we occupied part of Western Germany. It was literally imperialism. We conquered a country and then occupied them for like 50 years after.
Thank you, Emila. Thank you so much, Emila. Yes, the US's puppet government in West Germany was an extension of US imperialism. Absolutely. Yes, it was. I don't know why this is even a question. Of course it was, yeah. The Soviets didn't want to divide Germany. They wanted a neutral Germany, which the US refused. So the US created a puppet government, which was an extension and was subservient to US imperialism. Of course it was. The context of the U.S., Normandy, well, that was already a war that was already underway. It was a war between powers. It wasn't like a big power invading a small one. It was a war between powers.
That was the beginning of the control of the U.S. imperialists and the decline of the British imperialists. So, yes, in that detail, that would be supporting U.S. imperialism. But up until the point where they actually took out Nazi Germany, That was the United States under FDR actually fighting on the side of the Soviet Union.
Okay, so initially you realized the Soviets and the Nazis allied, right? Wait, I'm sorry.
No, they didn't. Gosh. They actually didn't.
Is your perspective on the righteousness of World War II determined entirely by who Stalin was aligned with?
The the Soviet Union did not ally with the
Oh my
Soviet.
god! Please, so wait, it's funny that we brought up Holocaust now earlier because you're about to do Nazi apologetics again. They were an Axis power. Pigeon.
No, they
The Soviets were an Axis power.
were not.
They were.
Having an agreement did not attack.
Damn!
another
Oh,
country.
agreeing with the Nazis. That's crazy. Why would Stalin do that?
Saying, hey, I understand that the Nazis.
So when the Nazis surrendered to the Allies, that was also an agreement, but mind you, the Nazis surrendered to the Allies. Surrender is a form of an agreement, okay? Because it's two people at a table, one of them surrendering, and they agreed to the surrender. So therefore, the Allies agreed with the Nazis. It's really smart.
Are going to declare war on us. That's tried to prevent our country from being invaded for as long as.
What about what about Chamberlain? What about the Munich conference? That never happened. That's a tanky cult lie. Munich conference never happened.
Possible, so we can build up our military forces.
That's a great excuse, dude. I love allying with Nazis for self-preservation.
The United States, the UK, France, none of these countries wanted to ally with the Soviet Union against the Nazis. Let's remember that it was the US and their billionaires, or at this time, multi-millionaires.
It was extremely necessary for them to invade Poland and ally with the Nazis, and only...
They didn't invade Poland, you fucking retard. The Polish government had already fled. So if the Soviets did not take that, the Nazis would have. I don't know why I'm taking him seriously.
Breaking the pact when the Nazis invaded them. I know, it was very necessary.
They had to have that pact so they could make sure that their military forces were ready, because the United States and Britain and France and the rest of the Western powers were not willing to work with the Soviet Union.
They had no choice. No choice at all. Okay, I know we weren't even on this. We weren't even on this point. We can stop with the Nazi apologetics for a moment. So,
Nazi apologetics? I'm sorry,
yes.
You're the one who's apologizing for Nazis.
You're defending allying with Nazis right now. Like, you guys, wait, please, just for a moment, wait, please, I just think...
You ever just wake up and realize this is a fake world? Everything's fake in it. Like, yeah, just another day. Fat retards are just spreading lies. Soviet Union had two choices. Go to war with the Germans and lose, or form a non-aggression pact and buy time. It's just not an alliance. And they formed a non-aggression pact. Therefore... They should have just died. The Soviets should have just... It's like Voss is basically saying, hey, Soviets, you should have just fought the Nazis and lost. You weren't prepared, so you should have just lost. And that would have been made... That would have just... Yeah, you should have just been exterminated by the Germans. That's what he's saying. Yeah, you can't win. You really can't win with this guy. I feel like with this guy, I mean, it's a tough crowd. You really just can't win with this guy, right? He's kind of like, oh yeah, just get slaughtered by the German Nazis, or, or else you're a Nazi yourself. I feel like that's what he's talking about, right? Wait, okay, hold on. So in concentration camps and in extermination camps, I guess that means the victims of Nazism were also Nazis. Because if you were in an extermination camp, and if you were in a concentration camp, you had to work with guards to survive in some ways. People were also smuggling cigarettes. They didn't have to do that. So, they were Nazis. The people that the Nazis exterminated in concentration camps, according to Voss, were also Nazis because they, they engaged with Nazis in some kind of way, I guess. They should have just died,
I think it's really funny that you guys screech
That's
about
what Voss is saying. He's just saying they should have died and should have been gunned down instead. And every POW was a Nazi. Every prisoner of war in World War II, according to Voss, was a Nazi because they didn't just fucking get gunned down. They agreed to get captured. What's up with that? What the fuck is up with that?
Azov battalion because there were like 2,000 guys out of hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian soldiers who are Nazis, but meanwhile the Soviets literally allied and split up Poland with the Nazis for years, and you guys are like, they had no choice. Like, you're like, oh...
Yeah, the Soviets split up Poland. If it wasn't for the Soviets, the Nazis wouldn't have invaded Poland. They wouldn't have. They needed the Soviet Union to do that. Like, basically what the Germans did was they were like, okay, we can't invade Poland by ourselves. We need the Soviets to help us do it. That's why the Polish government went into exile before the Soviets even stepped foot into Poland.
Zelensky is going to throw Nazi militias at the Russian invaders. This means the entire country is a Nazi. Oh, but the USSR working with the Nazis for years, peace talks, allying, trading territory, agreeing how to carve up Poland. Oh, that was a totally necessary... Like, again, I know you don't actually believe in anything outside nationalism, so let's just move to the imperialism bit.
I don't believe in anything other than siding with U.S. imperialism, but that's really besides the point.
Right.
The point is, the Union was in a position that they had to make sure that millions of their people were not slaughtered by the Nazis.
I know. It's fine. It's okay. Wait, I want to get to the imperialism thing. Please.
If all these countries would have actually signed with the Soviet...
If it wasn't for the USSR, the Polish would have beat the Germans.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Walsh is so right. He's so right about all this.
Reunion, which is what Stalin tried to push in initially, the Soviet Union would have never had to have a defense pact with Nazi Germany.
I agree with you. Allying with Nazis is fine. Thank you. So anyway, with the imperialism thing, so we agree that America invading and occupying Germany was U.S. imperialism, right? Considering that it was the U.S. doing it, and we invaded, and we literally occupied territory.
And allowed a bunch of literal Nazis after the fall of Nazi Germany into the government, going into NASA.
Well, you're in favor of allying with Nazis, so you shouldn't have an issue with that.
So, I am in favor of allying with anti-imperialist powers.
So
you are in favor of allying with Nazis.
So anyway, now that we've agreed that there was at least one instance of American imperialism that was morally justifiable, maybe we can acknowledge that
it was not morally justifiable to occupy West Germany. Let's be very clear. The United States should have pulled out entirely, only gave them financial resources to rebuild and support the reunification of Germany under a Soviet government.
What? Why? Wait. Why would they just...
Their arguments consist almost entirely of an inverse confession by accusing their enemies of the crimes they are guilty of themselves. No honesty.
Give West Germany to the Soviets. The West Germans didn't... Wait, what? Wait, why would they do that? Wait, so USSR could just annex Germany?
The Germany was unified under the Soviet Union. That would have been the best way moving forward for the German people. Instead, now, you ended up having Germany split in two.
The West Germans disagree.
And that was the creation of the West.
Okay, I know you're angry that you lost the Cold War, and that the communists won, but East Germany...
What a retard. What the fuck? The communists won? Is he joking? I can't tell.
Germans are on our side now.
The Cold War is continued, except now China is leading the Cold War.
The fact that you believe that explains so much of your ideology. Okay, so anyway, even if the US had only provided aid to West Germany and only done the invasion, that still would have been imperialism, because exercising your power over another country is by definition...
No, that's not what it is. That is, Not at all what it is. Fuck. Who would have thought that I heard you this way?
System. It's not just invading a country.
Oh my god.
Countries
I
do
can't get to
bad
anything. I
things.
can't do any. I can't get to any talking point with this guy. Holy shit. Okay. So, whatever would have happened, America's involvement in World War II was a broadly justifiable act of American imperialism.
End of the Second World War. After the end, it would have been better for Germany to reunify.
Okay, wait, stop, please, stop with running off to other talking. Please, I'm just talking about U.S. imperialism, World War II. We get it. You like the USSR. You have virtue signaled sufficiently. I am begging you for just a second to please stick to one topic. Holy shit. Okay.
I love it.
No, I know you love it because, like, you're brain damaged. You literally just got out of a cult. Like, you can't be proud of your ignorance when you were just suckered by a cult leader sex pest. Like, you're literally, like talking to me as though this is part of some, like, broader ideological victory on your part, when you just got a person you trusted, like, turned out to be a lunatic. And I'm trying to get to one point, and, like, it's abundantly clear to me how this happened to you. So I'm just gonna try to... Okay, so if American imperialism was justifiable in an element of world...
What do you mean it was justifiable? It's not a judgment made from the perspective of morality. It's a pragmatic and immediate decision the Soviets were making. So from what point and perspective are you saying if it's justifiable or not? Do you think there's like a universal standard of morality that can be applied to like every possible actor unconditionally because you have a retarded understanding of what morality is? Yeah, it happened. So first of all, imperialism doesn't mean using your power against another country. But as far as US imperialism against Germany is concerned, you are dealing with an inter-imperialist war between different imperialist powers, and the victor is not so much exercising imperialism against the Nazis as much as it's assimilating the Nazi war machine and the Nazi system as part of a fusion into a new global unipolar world order. So it's like, and at that point, you have Germany, which is subjected to US imperialism. So it's not that imperialism was used against the Nazis, or the Nazis were victims of imperialism. Germany was victim to imperialism. That much needs to be emphasized. It's not that the Nazis were victims to it. They weren't. That was an inter-imperialist war. So was imperialism against the Nazis justifiable? There was no imperialism against the Nazis. It's that simple. That was a inter-imperialist war.
War II.
And you know I never made that argument. We don't agree on this part.
We don't agree that stopping the Nazis was good?
We agree that stopping the Nazis was good, but that wasn't an act of imperialism.
Okay.
That was supporting the Soviet Union.
When you invade a country and take over an area of that country, that is imperialism.
What a retard. No, it's not. No, it's fucking not. What?
No, it is not. Imperialism is an economic system. It is the highest stage of capitalism.
Oh my god, I knew you were going to say that. The talking points. First of all,
it's a talking point.
So first of all, you literally just talked about how we should have provided economic aid to West Germany. That would have been imperialism by the Leninist definition.
No.
Imperialism is economic aid, according to Lenin's definition. That's in chapter 65 of Imperialism, the Highest Stage of Capitalism.
We should have provided economic aid for the.
All right, I just, this is too long. I don't want to watch this whole fucking thing. I just don't. I'm already bored. Are you guys bored? I don't care, because I am. I'm super fucking bored of that. That was really boring, and it was a very unfortunate waste of time. Let's see. What am I singing, guys? You want to hear it? Here. Am I allowed to say that if I saw some people in real life, like if I just saw them on the sidewalk, I'm not kidding, by the way. I'm not actually kidding about that. Yeah. Not a joke. I would have a really long conversation with them. Without provocation, by the way. I would just start doing it. Yeah, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Oh, wow. I feel like there's some people. I feel like some of my stalkers, I should just do that. I should just find them and do that. I should actually, some of my stalkers who are super invested in me, I kind of feel like just doing that. Like, oh, you really like me, huh? You really like stalking me? How about some of this? Oh, man. Why shouldn't I? You know what I mean? Why shouldn't I? I feel like I don't know. If you really want to hate Haas, you better hate Haas, right? You better really hate him. Because I will really make it personal. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I've been going to the gym again. I think I'm gonna have a lot of fun. I'm gonna have a lot of fun in the next 4 years. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and I have become very desensitized to fun. But like, I don't know. How much do people have to lose? You know, I don't know. Because I have nothing, nothing at all. But I hope the people who like are full-time haters have shit to lose. Or sorry, don't have anything to lose. If you're a full-time hater of me, you better not have anything to lose. Because I'm promising you right now you're going to lose it. I'm just promising you that. I mean, obviously not all of them, right? I'm just saying like I don't know, I just feel like I just want to see what would happen, right? Like how would that psychologically affect my haters if I just like found them? If I found them physically, like how would that affect them? What would happen to them? What would they say? What would they do? You know what I mean? Yeah, I just want to test it. Honestly, I just want to test it. And you're allowed to visit people. You know, I'm not threatening anyone. I'm just saying, like, I would visit some people. I'm not even kidding. I might just do it. I'm not going back to Michigan for a few months. So I might just travel, actually. I might just travel. I'm not even kidding. Oh, God, it's going to be fun. Yeah. And they're watching me right now. They're like literally watching me right now. Hi! I'm coming, by the way. Oh, man.
Based.
Thank you,
Oz looks like the well-read
Bobo.
schizo who now
No,
lives on the
it
street
comes
and by luck
from
got himself a
it
diamond
comes
chain
from
and flexes to everyone on the sidewalk cack.
it comes from low testosterone. The only reason a man stalks another man is low testosterone. So that's what it is. It's low testosterone. But yeah. They're like pretty much bitches. They're like females, pretty much. They're men who turn female, but not directly, but like emotionally. They just become pussies, basically. They become like think of like a screaming vagina. That's what they are. They have no shame, nothing. And some of these people are in their mid-30s and have kids and are stalking me because they're begging to get on their knees and suck me off and suck my cock. They're like absolutely obsessed with me. It's so fucking creepy, right? But there's a solution to that. There's a solution to that, and I'm very much getting plane tickets. Just kidding. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I have a few months before I go back to Michigan, and I'm honestly going to be traveling across the country. I'm going to be going to LA soon, and then I might make some stops as well. So I'm looking forward. Anyway, I'm very inspired by Sam Hyde. You know, he's such an inspiration. I didn't even think you could do that, right? I just didn't. Apparently you can. Anyway, guys, I have to eat dinner. I gotta go. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye!